Sometimes lightning strikes, right?
Keep it better than your throw away from
Yeah, most definitely. Look, we chill cops. Get on your negotiations and fucking
Right,
road
cool.
trip, man.
You want to shut that
I'm a
down?
drug dealer who hit a rival drug dealer, and you're the guns I got to do it.
Can I write the name down?
We think I fucked you.
Mondays are the one engineering. I know he requested to consolidate some of those meetings.
I already said so.
What are the,
He hasn't gotten back to me.
sounds right?
That sounds
Yep.
on par with
Hi,
Bob.
Jack. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. We got about 15 minutes or so if you want to go on mute, we'll get started then, buddy.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Hello?
Hi, Dr. Gillen. We're going to get started in a little while.
Okay.
My thing went dead.
Call back in. Did you lose it?
Where we go?
Everybody, we're just waiting on a couple more to join us. We'll get started.
Okay, thank you.
I'm back on, babe. I'm live. So
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it.
no problem.
I may be able to let you go. Depends on whether or not we get Corey tapped in.
Okay.
Committee, thank you very much for your patience. We are about to begin. Currently, we have participating Jack Shea and Dr. Gilliam.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you guys.
Good to hear you. Yes. And we now have Councilman O'Connor joining.
I am here.
You are here. Thank you so very much. Mr. Shea, thank you for your kind participation. You can disconnect should you like, or if you would just like to be regaled with green information, stay on.
I may take some of it in. I don't know how long.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, should
Are
we
we
have
ready?
a call?
Roll call.
All right, Mr. Weinstein, Dr. Gilliam,
Present.
Mr. O'Connor,
Here.
Do I need
All right.
to check?
All right, Mr. Chairman, we are going to move forward with our,
Yes, so we have grow cycle 5 recommendations.
yes, sir.
All right, have at it.
Okay, thank you. This cycle, our fifth one, we received 28 projects throughout the service area. Again, as you can see on the map on the screen, that the projects are well distributed throughout the Alcoasand service area. Again, the GROW program is geographically not central to any one of our participating municipalities. We are all over the service area, which has always been the intention. Of the 28 projects, we have 3 green stormwater infrastructure projects, 17 inflow and infiltration projects, 3 system optimization, and 5 sewer separation projects, following the trend of I&I projects definitely outnumbering the rest of them. But doesn't mean, quality is deficient anywhere. And we'll get into that later. We're going to start off talking about some highlighted projects. And we want to talk about first the top 5 projects in terms of overflow reduction. As you can see on the screen, we have, even though they're top 5 projects, we have 6 potential awardees. The top one was Carnegie Cubbage Street Sewer Separation. This project, which was actually the very first identified project in controlling the source. Carnegie took a storm sewer system that eventually tied back into their combined system and developed a project to get that water completely out of the combined sewer system. Very cost-effective project and very impactful. The next one is Whiteman Park. Whiteman Park was originally a project identified in our very first cycle. And in the first cycle, it was all conceptual. And so the project did not get a very significantly high match. PWSA, through coordination with the city of Pittsburgh, moved forward on the project. And their PWSA was the applicant. And in their application, they provided us with a lot of information that gave us a very good understanding, far better than in cycle 1, a good understanding of what this project is and how this project would perform. Based on all of that, we believe the project is going to perform far better than we originally thought 5 years ago or 4 years ago. In the city of Pittsburgh, through PWSA's information that they provided to us, the team identified that there were costs that the city of Pittsburgh incurred that would have been eligible for reimbursement as part of the stormwater portion of the project. So based on those costs, we are also going to be recommending that the city of Pittsburgh receive some reimbursement for their costs. Aspinwall Borough, the Western Avenue Sewer Separation Project is the 3rd sewer separation. They started with Eastern, went to Center, and now they're at Western Avenue. Again, a significant sewer separation from a combined sewer system. And then finally, rounding it out, are 2 projects in Crafton. Again, they're both sewer separation, and both of these projects are impactful. I would like to point out Crafton Boulevard sewer separation was last year's only $2 million applicant. But when the board approved the raising of the cap, Crafton wanted to resubmit this project because they felt that possibly there was money that was left on the table from the old cap. And they were able to get more of a funding that we would recommend in this cycle. Any questions on overflow reduction?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Total eligible project cost dollar per gallon of reduction, there's a big range there, 4 cents up to 73 cents. And they, well, I mean, at least the 4 cents up to 58 cents all got 85% matches. Help me understand that.
When we raised the cap to $10 million, we had to adjust our curve. So the curve now caps out at 60 cents an overflow gallon is where you get an 85% match. So because Whiteman came in at 58 cents, they're at 85%. And you could see like Crafton, Woodlawn, and Fountain, they're just below 60 cents, so they would get the full cap. And Carnegie, because this is a highly effective sewer separation project, even though they come in at 4, it still levels out. Once you hit that 60 cents an overflow gallon amount, it levels out to, as you head towards zero. We don't
And
get more.
I remember the table.
Mhm.
It had that curve on it.
Yeah.
So I presume that, all of the calculations that you all did, this was the best calculation, but it's interesting to see it in practice.
Yeah, when we raised the cap, we had to adjust the curve to be sure that things were going to still be equitable as we move forward, knowing that there was going to be potentially larger impactful projects. And so we went through the exercise of making sure that we still maintained equity moving forward with a bigger cap.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So cost efficiency, we mentioned Carnegie and Aspinwall Borough, Brentwood Borough, Wanley Avenue sewer lining. This is probably one of the more cost-effective I&I projects we've seen. And this came from the capital program Municipal Source Reduction Project, and also the work that was done through Controlling the Sources I&I development. We identified several projects in Streets Run, which is where Wanley Avenue is located. And through that, we were able to identify a very wet area where the sewer infiltration was pretty chronic, and it was near a stream. So Brentwood Borough jumped ahead and put the funding together to do this project. And they started that in February. Through all of that, Alcosan also continued monitoring to see how the project performed during construction, which was a little different than what had been done in the past. We wanted to see if we could tell when these projects are being constructed, seeing the groundwater impact. And there was an impact that we could tell. And because this is also in Streets Run, which is one of our wetter sanitary sewered areas, that there is an impact. When you get groundwater out of certain areas, there will be an impact on overflows down at the CSO by the river. So Brentwood was a very good project. Churchill Borough, this was a project that Churchill and Alcosan had been working on together for several years to take a pump station that had not been performing very well. And that was going to pumping up the hill to go to 9 Mile Run. Now they want to pump and head towards the Allegheny, towards the Sandy Creek pump station, which has more capacity. What this did was the improvements that they can make at the pump station, also on top of the fact that they're no longer going to a CSO on the Monongahela River, but they're going to an Alcosan pump station, which is more controlled. There was a significant overflow reduction through that system optimization project. And so it was pretty cost effective. And then finally, Shaler Township, another I&I project where the groundwater infiltration was found to be fairly chronic. It's not a massive project, but it's going, we believe that it's going to take out a lot of groundwater coming into the system. And again, like Streets Run, Pine Creek has a downstream CSO that is impacted by a fairly large watershed. And so any amount of groundwater that we could get out of there has an impact on the CSO. Any questions?
All right, seeing none, does that take us to the change in cycle 5?
Not yet. One more.
Oh, sorry. My fault.
One more. Award value. For this particular project, and my screen, I got to figure out how to move everything. Let me just. For PWSA and the city of Pittsburgh, Whiteman Park, we're going to be recommending, when you combine the two together, nearly $4 million in a match. This project, based on all the information that they provided, based on field visits that Alcoasand staff had made, this project is going to be very impactful the way that they're building it. And, so we believe that, there's going to be a significant reduction in overflows at our M29 4-mile run CSO. So the two of them together, almost $3.7 million. If I said 3.9, I was wrong. Nearly $3.7 million split between PWSA and the city of Pittsburgh, proportionate to the amount of eligible costs that they provided. Crafton, they have 2 projects coming in, and Crafton's 2 projects are going to be totaling together roughly about 2.7 or $4.7 million in matches. Homestead, Hazel Way Sewer Separation Project, and we're starting to see a trend here. A lot of sewer separation projects are getting bigger and very impactful. That's nearly a $2 million recommendation. And then Woodland Road, which is a green infrastructure project in Chatham University's campus, a project that we've known about now for 2-3 years now, $1.6 million recommendation. And we provided a handout that has all of the projects and all the recommended funding.
So
As
Tim,
usual- yes.
sorry, I had a question on the Whiteman School. Did you say 9-mile run or 4-mile run?
I meant 4-mile run. If I said 9-mile, I meant 4-mile run.
You may have. I didn't hear what you said. So how, and maybe I just have to see this on a map. Whiteman School already sits, or not the school, the playground already sits in that valley that absorbs water anyways. So how is that, what is PWSA doing to defer the water from going the other way, sort of opposite Whiteman Street? Are there that many overflow pipes that they're diverting throughout this project?
Well, that's
the next. Doesn't seem, I mean, and maybe we could talk about that offline, because it doesn't seem like from 4-mile run, which then goes up and over to Shenley Park and through, I mean, I guess CMU would be part of that as well on the back end of CMU. How does Whiteman impact that as much? And maybe I'm just looking at geography, but is there, sorry, I'll let you explain.
Tim,
Yeah.
ask him if he can see the screen.
Oh, Corey, can you see the screen?
I can't see the screen. Yeah, I can.
You can. Okay. The impact is, the project that PWSA provided to us was phase 2 of Whiteman Park. Phase 1 was just the park itself.
Okay.
Phase 2 is all of the work that's surrounding, all the bump outs, getting the water to Whiteman Park. And what we realized was phase 1 was what we originally provided funding for, was conceptual back in cycle 1. And they have real numbers. They have, costs that we can dive down into those costs and start picking out, well, this is an eligible cost, this is not an eligible cost, and going through the whole list. And then realizing if PWSA, because they still haven't done anything with receiving any funds for that project, we could go in and we could just tell them, just rescind that first one and accept this offer, because this actually is a far better analysis than what we had the first time, which was all conceptual.
Yeah, so I see all the streets and everything now flowing downward and bump outs. Maybe I just have to see on a map how that, like, what are they taking away from 4 Mile and the long thing? And I'm asking this because we have a big meeting tonight as well with 4 Mile Run and the city of Pittsburgh and everybody. So that's why anything to alleviate the stress down there is obviously the best thing to do. That's why I wasn't sure how Whiteman does it. Now I see that you're starting to take streets on phase 2 and using them to the betterment to have it all flow into the park, basically.
Exactly.
So so they agree that the money goes to phase 2 and not to phase 1?
No, we will reimburse for because they're going to take, now phase 1 being, not just site preparation and stormwater, there were also ineligible costs for phase 1 that we went through the whole list. But everything that we found in the bid items that were considered eligible, we are recommending that be reimbursed back to the city and PWSA.
Okay.
And
all right, that's good. I just needed a concept of how that would work, because if what I'm seeing it now, it makes a lot more sense. I still think, a lot of it flows up and over the hill, but it does make sense to at least direct those 5 or 6 blocks into that park, which I understand would alleviate some of the issues. So that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if there are any other questions regarding this, I can move on.
Yeah, I'm good. Are we on the changes?
Not just yet.
Okay. Sorry, I keep jumping ahead of you. I'll just let you go.
In summary, the cycle awards for green infrastructure, a little over $5 million being recommended, sewer separation, $7.5 million, I&I shy of 2, and system optimization shy of 1 million. This cycle, we are recommending $15.5 million in awards. And this is much higher than what we've been used to, and should not be considered to be a typical cycle, but we had some very impactful projects. And the cap being raised definitely grew the award recommendations. Overflow reduction, close to 50 million gallons, 48 million gallons that we are expecting to be reduced through this effort. And so this is a good cycle.
Do we have the same cycle result summary for 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 that we could kind of look at them all together?
Not in the presentation, but I can tell you and get you exact numbers offline, Dr. Gilliam, but cycle 1 was around 9 million. Cycle 2 was around 9 million. Cycle 3 was less. It was about 4 million, maybe shy of 4. And last cycle, I believe, was around 9. So
I'm actually more interested in the ratio of the potential award to the OF reduction.
The overflow reduction, the first cycle was very high. I think that was 67 million gallons in the first cycle for a $9 million reduction. But at that cycle, there were 3 projects that were outliers, and then the rest of them came down. We can get you those numbers.
That would be great. Thank you. We just kind of want to stay on top of the progress. The purpose of raising the cap was to influence the ratio of overflow reduction to cost. So just want to see how we're doing.
I think we're doing really good. Okay, so some highlights. There was only this cycle one project that did not meet the criteria for award. 3 projects, because we raised the cap, their awards are higher than the old $2 million cap, so they've benefited from the cap being raised. There were 8 concepts identified in controlling the source that eventually turned into projects for this cycle. 2 green infrastructure projects receiving a full 85% match. We really don't see too much of that, of them receiving a full match, that, the cost effectiveness. So this was good. I think this was definitely part of the justification of raising the cap, was to encourage more impactful projects. And that we definitely saw that this cycle. And overall GROW grants covering 46% of the total eligible costs in this cycle. So for the most part, we're on par with all the other cycles, except for this has got a whole lot more money being recommended, this one. The cost efficiency versus overflow reduction. Usually we would see green infrastructure and I kind of high, system optimization, wherever that may fall that cycle, and sewer separation always fairly low. This cycle, because we had some very impactful green infrastructure projects, that drove the cost efficiency down for that one. I is still, fairly high, even though we did have a handful of very impactful I projects. There were a lot of projects that weren't quite as impactful, but still was eligible to for recommendation of some funding. Just a quick pie chart of, overflow reduction in gallons per typical year. You could see sewer separation is the majority of the overflow reduction that we're enjoying. And of the sewer separation, 1/3 of that is one project. So that one project is very, very impactful, and everybody else is doing pretty good. And then cost, we could see that sewer separation is roughly about half of the costs that we're recommending. Okay, moving on, are there any questions in regards to the recommendations for this cycle? We can at any time go into details, we're prepared. Hearing none. Want to talk informational items. The first one are changes to the GROW agreement. There are a handful of changes that we would like the board to consider. The first one, and I want to be sure, does everybody have a handout that shows the differences between the cycle 4 agreement and the cycle 5 agreement?
Let me try to pull that up.
Yeah.
Okay, I have it up.
Okay. In paragraph 8, ownership, operation, maintenance of project, we're requesting to add some language towards the end to clarify to the grantee that 2 things. Alcosan is not going to interfere with the construction or the design of the project. That's the first part of this addition. But the second part of the addition is that the grantee is ensuring to Alcosan that there will not be any substantial changes to the project that they applied for. This is covering us, so we are not in a situation where a project is awarded, but then some significant changes take place in the design or the construction that alter the impact of that project. And if we, if we see that we have the right to rescind that award. We don't want to pay for a project that has been substantially changed to the point that it would not have received an award or would have received a less award.
Tim, we can also approve changes. I mean, that also gives us some flexibility. That they just have to bring it forward to us. If it makes sense, it makes sense, but.
Right. Max pointed out that if there were changes that make sense to the project, that Alcoasand can approve those changes to the award, as long as it's better.
So I see the last 3 lines, project including but not limited to a change in the project location, change in the project footprint, reduced storage capacity, blah, blah, blah. So of course, as a researcher, the one thing that I think of is, okay, what is a significant reduction? And is that articulated somewhere?
A significant deviation, let's say in the analysis that we did, it was 1 million gallons of overflow reduction. It was because they decided that they were going to put some tanking system in there to hold the water back and slowly bleed it back in.
Before you go off on that, it's not so much for me to understand it. I'm just asking, do we have it articulated somewhere what a significant change in storage capacity is? What is the definition of that? I mean, does it mean like 1 gallon? Does that trigger it?
No.
So I guess not for me to know, but is it articulated somewhere?
I don't think it's articulated anywhere. I think it would come down to anything that would have a significant change in what, if we reevaluated the project and it was not as cost efficient and the project would have been given a different award.
Okay, here we go. That's the trigger right there. So if the change would have triggered a different award.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just saying you might want to write that. I mean, put it in there somewhere, that's all.
Okay. Okay, we will look into that. Okay. Moving on, the insurance language. It's in the last agreement, it kind of truncated the language, and we wanted to be sure that the language was properly finished out. So instead of in accordance with this agreement, and then stop. In accordance with this agreement, the grantee shall maintain the insurance policies and amounts as follows. It's more of just making sure we're using the correct language. Bidding requirements, it's just an update to current competitive bidding requirements. And moving on, paragraph 16, we have had grantees point out that sometimes they're not able to put signage up. So we just wanted to acknowledge that, if there are applicable laws, then, they wouldn't need to necessarily put up a sign. And then finally, at the end of paragraph 18, closeout process, we wanted to clarify how the grantee can close the project out. There were some questions about it. In the old language, it was a little ambiguous, and we wanted to just make it very clear. Here's how you close it out. And then we also added an Exhibit D to the agreement, which lays out the step-by-step process to close an agreement out. So there's no confusion with closing on a project. Are there any other questions in regards to changes? Just one last thing. At the end of paragraph 19, you could see we struck out the language that was ambiguous, and we moved it to where it should be, regarding closeouts. Any questions in regards to changes to the agreement?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Fall municipal workshops, just real quick, starting on Monday, we're jumping into cycle 6. The grow cycle 6 begins with fall municipal workshops, and we have no break. We're just jumping right back into this. On Monday and Tuesday, we'll be meeting with towns that are served by Glen Engineering. We grouped everybody together by the engineering firms because typically the engineering firms are the ones that show up. We sent out all the information and all the invitations about a month ago, roughly close to a month ago. And right now we are roughly about more than half of the service area, more than half of the customer municipalities have signed up to meet with us. Times being what they are, the municipal workshops will be virtual, but the time is still going to be 1 hour per municipality. We're going to do everything we can to get as much information because this is going to be the year that we show them, here are the projects in your town that we identified in controlling the source. And we really want to make a much bigger push on the projects that we identified to see if the municipalities want to work with us in developing those projects, as well as projects that they may have identified themselves. So this is going to be starting on Monday, October 26th. And the workshops run through November to the beginning of December with all 83 of our communities having an invitation. So it's a marathon. Any questions on our fall municipal workshops?
Sounds good.
Nope. So what do we have next? The scheduled meetings, or we vote? That's one of the action items, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have gone to this slide. But I said everything, meeting with all of them. We're sharing our concepts and we'll be discussing their projects, getting prepared for cycle 6. I love that slide and Okay, informational items. One last thing, Green Committee schedule. This is the schedule that is being proposed. Starting in January, we're proposing for the most part a week before the Green Committee date. The only difference in that will be November of 2021, where the board meeting is on the 3rd Thursday, but the 2nd Thursday is Veterans Day, and Alcoasand has Veterans Day off. So we're recommending that be on the Tuesday before the board meeting.
Okay. I agree with that.
Yeah, these look okay to me too.
Okay.
Okay, so we're into action items. Is that correct? Anything else, Tim? Sorry.
Just one more thing. If the committee feels that is needed, there is a 2020 Green Committee scheduled for Thursday, November 12th. We had a Green Committee in September. We've got this one in October. I will leave it to the committee to determine if you would like to meet again.
Right now, it is scheduled. Should we not need it, we'll let you know.
Okay.
All right, that works. Yeah. Okay, so on to action items. Item A, motion to recommend the Alcoasand Board of Directors modify the GROW program by amending grant agreements between Alcoasand and its municipal partners. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Item B, motion to recommend the Alcoasand Board of Directors approve municipal source control projects for cycle 5 under the GROW program and provide successful applicants with a grant agreement. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. The
Yeah,
ayes
so I think we said it at the same time.
Sorry, okay. And then C, schedule 2021 schedule of Alcoasand Board of Directors Green Committee meetings. I need a motion,
So moved.
and I will second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. The next meeting is Thursday, November 12th, as we just mentioned, if needed. Is there any other business?
We had no additional business today.
No additional
I have
business? All right.
nothing.
I would just like to thank Tim for all his hard work at these meetings, as well as his team to go out to all those municipalities and work through this process. I think it's great that so many are reaching out now to do these types of things. And I actually think we could be a huge resource for a lot of these local municipalities that are going to have some budget crisis that need parks and playgrounds and other things renovated in the next year or so. So I think we can be a huge resource to them. So thank you, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow at the board meeting.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
committee.
Nice
See you
work.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.